Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and in this one I am playing with another of Natalie May Scrapbooking's collage papers. This one is from the Spring Girls collage sheet. So I'm starting off adding some white gesso onto my page, and as you can see I got a bit excited and put too much out. So not to worry, it doesn't matter. And then I'm just using up the excess and just popping a bit through this Scrap FX stencil onto my background, just pulling that out so it touches the edges and just kind of helping to blend those harsh lines. Then I have used a water brush and cut out the face from the rest of the collage paper, because one thing I've been enjoying doing, as you will realise, is kind of customizing these collage faces so that they I'm using the face that Natalie created but also putting my own twist on it. So this was quite a fun way to do this. So I've stuck her down using some gel medium, I've given it a good dry. Then I'm just sketching in where I roughly want the hair to go, and then I'm going to add some colour. So I'm using lapis to start off with. My lapis paint bottle is a little bit of an older one and it's gone a little bit lumpy. So I'm just having to add a bit of water in there to just mix it up so it's a bit less textural when it's going on the page. And I'm just pulling that out across where the hair is going to be. So I don't often use this colour and I really don't know why, because it's so pretty. It's such a lovely blue. Goes on really nice, and it goes with so many of the other colours that I really like, so I have no clue why this isn't one that I reach for more often. So I've put some brush marks on there to start off with, and then I just decided I would get a blending tool and just try and kind of blend those lines out a little bit just to see if I could soften that. And I quite like this effect. It's quite nice because it's still got some of those lines in there, but it's just helped to blend those colours out a little bit. So I haven't changed the sponge on the blending tool, and now I'm going in with blackberry and I'm just adding another tone of colour over the top of the lapis. Not really any rhyme or reason to where I'm popping this. I'm just going with wherever I feel like, to be honest. This is quite a nice way to apply paint to your journal page, just using that blending tool. You get a really lovely smooth application of paint as well. It's a nice way to pop it on. Then I am using black and I'm adding some lines onto the hair, and I'm just kind of going around the hairline, so there's some of the colour left from where I've cut it out of the collage paper, and I'm just kind of trying to sort of blend those colours and add some marks to show the direction of the hair. Yeah, and just having a bit of fun putting those marks on there. And then I'm using permanent red violet light, and this is my dots and dashes stencil from Funky Fossil, and I'm doing some stenciling that overlaps with the hair, just to soften those edges. And I don't know, it's just sometimes it's fun to just layer your stenciling over your focal image. I think it's nice to kind of play with how these things work and just see how it's going to look. So that's dry. Now I've grabbed this butterfly, and it's from one of Dina's stamp sets. I think it's called Scribbled Insects or something like that. There's butterflies and bees on there, and I'm just going to stamp 3 butterflies onto a piece of cardstock using black archival ink, and then they will be cut out, and I'm going to add some colour to those using some Lindys Magicals. I've also used some of the Lindys just to add a little bit of colour to the background behind the head as well. So for those of you that don't know, Lindys are like a powder pigment. You add water and it activates them, and then you can use it like a watercolour. There are lots of other techniques that you can use for Lindys, but this is one of the easiest ones really, just for applying the pigments. You just pick a bit up on your water brush and then, or paintbrush, and then you can just paint with it. It's really a pretty effect, and there are so many different colours of Lindys that you can get as well. So once you put the pigment on, you can kind of move it around as well, a bit like you would a watercolour, and of course you can blot it if it goes on too dark and you want to lift a bit of the pigment out. You can do that too with some tissue. So once these are dry, I'm then going to cut them out and I'm going to add these onto my page as well. So then, just to add a little bit more mark making onto my page, underneath where the butterflies are going to go, I'm just going to add a little bit of white dotty stamping. So this is just bringing a little bit of contrast onto the page, because there's not really any white on there at the moment, and just adding these white and black elements to your page can just add the finishing touches really, and bring that little bit of contrast that journal pages really need to help them work and feel balanced. So then I'm also going to add a little bit of text stamping onto the page as well. This is a text stamp from Natalie May Scrapbooking, and just using some black archival ink, just adding a little bit of stamping on there too. Not using the whole stamp, just adding a little bit of it. And then I'm going in with a Stabilo oil pencil, and I'm just adding some definition to some of the elements that I've added onto my page, going over some of the butterflies marks around the edges. It just helps to pop them out from the background. This is a really good way to just make those elements that you stick on stand out a little bit better. Next, I'm just using a fine applicator tip bottle with a little bit of watered down white acrylic paint, and I'm just adding some more lines of movement onto the hair. I love the way it's kind of gone a little bit dotty. I think that's quite a nice effect. And then I've grabbed a text stamp, and it's from the same stamp set, can't talk, that the butterflies and bees come from, and it says "We are all a little bit fragile." And I felt that this worked perfectly for this page. So I've stamped it in a few places on the hair and also down at the bottom. And then I'm just going in with some white splatters as well. I felt that the white stamping wasn't quite obvious enough, so just adding a few splatters. It's always a nice way to finish off a journal page. And then a little bit of a semic writing on the hair too. and I think I outlined the words at the bottom of the page just to help those stand out a little bit better. And that is pretty much it for this page. It was lots of fun to create. It's a nice way to use a collage paper but put your own stamp on it. So I hope you've enjoyed watching how I've created this page. I found it some inspiration, and I really hope to see you again soon.